Today I'm going to talk to you about browning. Browning is a finish which involves oxidation. Oxidation applied to a finish gives it a dark chocolate brown color. This is useful to help prevent future oxidation. It can only help prevent it. It can't absolutely stop it. You just have to take care of it, and it's easier to take care of. It also reduces glare on gun barrels. This is useful when you're shooting in the sun and you don't want haze over your sights. So here we have a cold chisel. It's in pretty bad shape. It's got pitting, dings, dents, and of course rust. The first step, of course, is going to be to file off all of those dents and dings, file it into a flat surface, and then we can sand it. This is all in preparation. If you don't do this, no amount of browning is going to make your gun barrel look any good at all. So we're going to start out with a metal file here, and we're going to do what's called draw filing. We're going to take the file and we're going to simply draw it. Lift, draw, lift, and draw. And in this fashion we're going to be able to create a nice, sharp, crisp flat. Okay, well, we have just finished draw filing this cold chisel, and the cold chisel's flats have been largely restored. However, the pitting was a little bit deeper than I had thought, as you can see here, also here and here, and of course the lettering, I can't do a whole lot about that. However, this is just a demonstration. Without further ado, I'm going to put this back in the vise, and we're going to begin with the sanding process. Okay, and we're back. We have just finished draw filing this cold chisel. It's not perfect, however, it's much improved over what it was. Of course, there's still areas like here, here, and here, as well as here, that there's not much I can do about. The pitting is fairly deep and would require the removal of a lot of steel in order to get it absolutely flat. I mean, it's pretty flat right now, and I did have to remove considerable amounts of metal to get that to happen. And I would say it took maybe an hour and a half to do. So that was enough elbow grease right there. At this point, what we want to do is we want to sand. When we sand, we're going to go in an opposing direction, maybe say straight across, because the grain right now is running parallel to the length of the chisel, so we want to go perpendicular. And with each successive finer grit, we are going to go at opposing angles to the previous cut. Now I'm going to start off with a fairly coarse grit. Let's see, what's our lowest here? I got 60 here. 60 grit's a little bit coarse, especially since the file did a fairly good job getting it smooth. So, I don't know, maybe 180 would be good. What's this? This looks like 120. 120 should be just fine to start with. Okay, so we're just going to go very lightly. Very lightly. You don't want a whole lot of pressure. We want to erase the filing marks from the previous filing or sanding. We want to erase those, make this very smooth, very flat. Guess I don't need that little sticker. It's getting a little better. It's reducing the marks. It's reducing them. But that'll take a while. That will take a while. So I'll give you guys a break here and continue working. Okay, we have just sanded the chisel with 60 grit. I decided at that point that in order to remove the file marks, or at least make a good attempt at it, I'd have to use a coarser grain sandpaper. At this point, the file marks have been largely removed, but it would take a lot longer to remove them entirely. They are going to go in the opposite direction. So once more, we will be running parallel to the length in order to remove my last sanding marks and get a finer finish, hopefully. A lot smoother. One of the things to be cautious about is removing the edges here, rounding them over. If possible, try not to do that. If you can, use, say, a hardwood block. In this case, I've got something that's not exactly hardwood, but it's sturdy enough, I think, that it can do a decent job for this particular application. Okay, I have sanded with 120 grit, and it's given it a pretty fine appearance. I might go over it a couple more times. I've loaded up some, I believe this is 180 grit, unless I find out otherwise. But in any case, it's fairly fine. Not the finest that I've got here. I believe this 220 grit is the finest. I will be going again in this direction, and that will eliminate the sanding marks here. So let's get started. That's better. I'll just finish this up and come back, and we'll do the final sanding, and then we'll be ready at that point to do the cleaning and then the browning. Okay, and we're back. We have just cross sanded the chisel. At this point, we're going to put on the finest grain of sandpaper available here, and that's the 220 grit, and we're going to go across what we just sanded. So we're going to be going this way again, and this will be the final sanding. After that, we're going to oil this thing down because I can't do the cleaning and browning today. That'll be another day. So we don't want it to rust. That's one of the things you should know, that once you've prepared the metal by sanding it, filing it, doing whatever, it will be very susceptible to rust. You'll want to oil it until you're ready, or if you're prepared to do so, immediately clean it,